What is good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing good and having a great day. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking you guys on a tour of my YouTube analytics to basically show you exactly how much money I'm making from YouTube ad revenue. I always find this sort of thing really interesting to watch myself, making it easier to gauge how much smaller and larger YouTubers make on the site. And hopefully from sharing my own experiences, it might inspire some of you guys to start something up for yourself. Now, just before we get into it, if you are new around here, welcome to the channel. This really is the place to be for all the most relevant information on UK finance. So whether you're looking to find out what are the best credit cards and bank accounts out there at the moment, as well as content on investing, saving and making money, this really is the place to be. So if you're not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell so you never miss a video. And I know it is a bit cheeky asking before the video's even started, but I would really appreciate it if you guys could smash that like button, as it does really help me out with the YouTube algorithm and basically allows YouTube to share these videos to more people that might find them useful or interesting. But with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, just before we get looking straight into the figures and exactly how much money I've made from this channel, I just want to make it clear that I'm not making this video as a way to brag about my income. Instead, I just think it's one of the more interesting sides of YouTube to actually look at, which sometimes people are reluctant to share. And I think it can be especially helpful for those potentially thinking about starting a channel for themselves, as it could enable you to set realistic targets and goals in terms of income. Now, when it comes to earning money directly from YouTube, basically all of the income comes from ad revenue. So I'll just quickly run through how the ad revenue process works on YouTube to enable you to earn money from your videos. So before you can start earning money from your videos and start running ads, there are a few things that you need to do. So firstly, you need to have 4,000 hours of watch time on your videos a year. And then secondly, you need to have a total of 1,000 subscribers on your channel. And then once both these targets have been met, you can apply to be part of the YouTube Partner Program, which will enable you to start running ads on your videos to then start making some income. So for me, my channel was accepted into the Partner Program at some point in July. So this gives us about 4 months of data, which we can look at and then see exactly how much the channel has been making in that time. It's also worth mentioning that running ads on videos isn't the only way that you can monetize a channel, and there are ways that you can make money from YouTube before actually being accepted into the Partner Program through things like affiliate links and brand deals. So if you're interested to know exactly how I monetize my channel before being accepted into the YouTube Partner Program, I'll leave a link down below to my video going over all that information of exactly how I did that on this channel and how much money I made through those methods. But with all that being said, let's head on to YouTube Studio and start having a look at some of these analytics. Okay, so here we are on YouTube Studio looking at the revenue tab. Okay, so this is looking at a 1 year period. And so this total amount is how much money the channel has made in total since being monetized and being able to run ads on the videos. When it comes to the RPM and CPM, I'll go over exactly what both of those mean later on in the video. But to start with, let's just look at how much money the channel's been making over time since being monetized. So you can see here throughout most of 2020, the channel simply wasn't making any money from ad revenue. And if we move on to July, so we can see in mid-July it finally started making a bit of money and it got accepted into the YouTube Partner Program once I had 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. And it wasn't a lot of money, so it's like £2 a day, £1 a day, probably average around £2-3 a day. But the amount slowly increased over time, so then that was like a high day of £4.50 towards the end of July. So over time it's just gradually increased in terms of money per day. So it's moved up from an average of around £2-3 a day to about £5 a day. And then if we look on the 22nd of September, for some reason there was a spike that caused us to have a £10 day, which was nice. And especially as it was my birthday as well, so that was a nice odd coincidence. And then since then it's just gradually started to increase again, with having more days approaching the £10 a day mark. And that kind of leads us to where we're at now. And you can see through this period I've been trying to upload as consistently as possible, trying to make 2 videos every single month. So that's what all these black squares are. So I think I've done a fairly good job of that, and sometimes I've managed to upload more than the target. So if we now look at this over a 28-day period, this gives us a better idea of how much money is being made each month. So on average, the estimated amount is £184 in a 28-day period. So basically a month. So just working from that figure, if we look at that as an annual income, that's essentially £2,200 a year. So you can think what you like about that, but it's really not a lot of money. It's definitely not a livable income. But it's worth noting that I do have a full-time job as well, so this is more just a fun side project for me. Okay, so now we have a vague annual income figure. I just want to look at quickly how much that works out to per hour of input, so we can break it down into how much I'm actually getting paid per hour. So just assuming everything stays consistent as to what I'm on now, so I'll be paid £184 for making 2 videos a month. So let's say on average a video takes 10 hours to create, so that includes thinking up ideas, filming, editing, creating thumbnails and uploading. That works out to 20 hours a month, which is around 3 days of working time. So then if we divide 184 by 20, which works out the hourly rate, that comes to £9.20 per hour. However, like I said, that's assuming that the revenue remains consistent and that they all take 10 hours to make and I only upload twice a month, which won't necessarily be true, as some take a lot longer and some are actually a lot quicker to make. Okay, so now in terms of RPM and CPM, what do those both mean? So basically RPM stands for revenue per mile, and that's basically the metric YouTube uses to work out how much money you make per every 1,000 views on your videos. And this covers all money made from YouTube, so that includes ads and YouTube premium memberships. And the RPM figures also after YouTube's taken their cut as well. So all of that money is based on your income. So if we look at my RPM over the last 28 days, the average is £22.38p. So that basically means on average over the last month, the channel's made £22.38 per every 1,000 views. And if we just quickly switch back to the 365-day period, you can see that that RPM figure is a lot smaller because it's basically taking into account all those days where the channel was earning nothing. So that's bringing the average down. So back to the 28-day period. If this RPM figure remains consistent, and say the channel got 1 million views, that means that I'd be paid £22,000 in total. So now on to CPM. Now CPM stands for cost per 1,000 impressions. So CPM basically reflects what the advertisers are paying, then that gets input into the RPM, which is basically what you get paid after YouTube and everything has taken their cut. So basically for both of these numbers, the higher the better. Now my CPM is at £31.286 on average over the 28-day period, and I think that's actually fairly high considering this isn't a massive channel or anything. And what actually affects CPM the most is actually the type of content you create. A certain content will appeal much more to advertisers than other things out there. So for example, the majority of my content is finance based, looking at investing and things like that. So this sort of content will appeal directly to investing platforms like Trading212 and eToro and things like that, as they'll be able to reach their target market much more effectively compared to if they put the same ads on, say, like a travel vlog, as a lot of people watching that video just might not be interested in that sort of product. So if we look at some of my specific videos, this kind of shows this a bit better. So this money box review has a higher CPM and RPM than the channel on average, and the RPM's at £54.45. So the reason the RPM and CPM are higher on this particular video is that basically advertisers like Moneybox and other investing platforms might want to put ads on this particular video, as they're essentially targeting people who are already interested in the product, looking for videos and reviews on that specific thing. So that's really good for me, as it allows me to make more money per every 1,000 views. So then if we look at this video on reselling, which won't be as good for advertisers to target a specific market, as it's on a bit more of a broad topic, so advertisers aren't going to pay a premium to have ads running on these sorts of videos, as there'll be more people per 1,000 who simply just won't be interested in the product. So you can see the CPM's down to £21 and the RPM down to 15, compared to 60 and 54 on the Moneybox video. So taking into account RPM and CPM, should you simply just create content that's focused on having the highest RPM and CPM, or should you solely focus on videos that will just get a lot of views? Well, really I think it's just important to simply focus on making content that you enjoy making and you can do sustainably. Because if you're creating videos on stuff that you simply just don't find interesting or you find boring to make, it's not going to be sustainable to carry on making those sorts of videos. So it's important to find a topic that you'll be able to make sustainable for yourself, rather than just focusing on the monetary side of things. So now the thing to consider is it really worth it? Because it's essentially working for just over minimum wage for 3 days every single month. Well, for me, I think it is totally worth it because I really enjoy making this sort of content, and it's actually a lot of fun for me, and I'm not just thinking about the monetary aspect. However, it's also important to remember that there's always a huge upside and potential when it comes to YouTube, as now it's definitely not making me a huge amount of money at all and it's not a livable income, but the potential is always there to grow in the future, as larger, really successful content creators are making sometimes 100,000 per month. And I think it's really exciting that social media can open up a whole new world of opportunities that otherwise you might not be able to access. So in terms of goals for the future, I'm just interested to see where this thing goes, as any form of growth is what keeps it exciting for me. And I really enjoy creating finance-based content, and as long as there's people still excited to watch it, then I'm going to keep creating it. And I think to me one of the most exciting things about this is how you can take more control over your income. So no, I'm not earning enough to make it a sustainable income, but to me it's just so satisfying getting paid for doing something that I've created all on my own that I really enjoy. Now just one final thing that's worth knowing about YouTube ad revenue is that all of the income is actually taxable. So that means every year you're required to declare that income and submit a tax return. So if you are interested in knowing about the tax side of things, do let me know, because I can make a video going over that, and I can go over how you can actually write off a lot of that income to avoid having to pay as much tax. But there we have it, that basically covers everything for today, guys. If you did make it this far, thank you so much for watching. And if you did enjoy it or feel like you learned something new in any way, I'd really appreciate it if you could smash that like button, as it does really help me out with the YouTube algorithm. It basically allows YouTube to share these videos to more people that might find them useful or interesting. And like I said, if you are new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell so you never miss a video, as this really is the place to be for all the most relevant information on UK finance. So if you're interested in credit cards, bank accounts, investing and ways to make money, this really is the place to be. And as always, do let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if you do have any questions or feedback for me, drop them down there and I'll make sure to respond to all of you. But with all that being said, take it easy guys and keep saving.